Hey there everyone, and welcome to our new home. This is our new place. After an unnecessarily long, drawn out and laborious search, I'm pretty confident that we found the right spot. Well, I'm like 60% sure. But we got to settle in somewhere, so this is where we've chosen. And hopefully by the end of the season, we'll have it looking even better than it does already. That was quite an epic search. And as you can see, the spot we've settled on is right down here in the bottom of the world, right tucked into the corner, but I'm happy with it. Won't you come inside? Check out our temporary residence. So what do you do when you first move into a place? You sort out your mess. You don't put the boxes you've labelled bedroom in the kitchen, and you don't put your cutlery in the bathroom either. Well, if you do, you probably should stop doing that. Anyway, this awkward segue is me saying that I want to start this thing off properly and focus first and foremost on our little storage problem here. Putting things in their correct spot. And that, if we're going to move away from doing things manually, that means getting into applied energistics. As you can see from our vision board that we've set up over here. Today we're going to manifest our way into an ME system, which is like a one-stop shop for storage, crafting, automation, all that stuff. Basically, it'll be the backbone of our base. And if we have time, maybe we'll also work on a little starter house as well, which is why I've got a few botany pots down here working on getting us the blocks. And look, it even grows things like vines and moss and dripstone, which is pretty cool. Right, but first things first. I got curious wondering what else these queen bees want to give us. So I did a bit of exploring and found two more of these towers with their own source of royal jelly. The last royal jelly we traded, we got like 24 N crystals for it. Hoping this time we get something a bit more useful. A single nether star. Okay, it's not huge, but I guess I know where I'm going to spend that. Minus leaves. What kind of leaf is that? I don't know what kind of leaf that is. It's animated. Anyway, you're supposed to give them whatever they're asking for, which has been leaves both times. But if you trade them for whatever they're requesting, you get, what do we get? We got a whole bunch of like stingers and sugar and stuff like that. Nothing too special. It's the royal jelly that returns the goods. I'm not sure why they give us a reward for giving them back something that we stole from them in the first place. It's a bit odd. Maybe she's been after it for ages, but not been able to reach it or something. And anyway, best not to overthink it. This one is... this one doesn't seem to be pick-upable. I think a block spawned in here where it shouldn't have, and it's stopping us from getting access to this one. You can keep your honey. Now, oh, I figured out also found a way to make it infinitely easier to see in this place. Just turn off the damn shaders. Now we've got great visibility. Oh, I also turn off the shaders and the fog, the distance fog. It makes finding these towers so much easier. I want to get back to it, but there is 3 honey bottles per night. Honeytel, some Z's for bees. There were a few other funny looking structures that I found. Let's get the effect and jump on in and quickly explore these things. The Honey Hotel, where bees come to rest for the night. Ooh, music disc, a recovery compass. Never seen one of these things before. Okay, it seems we can loot this stuff without worrying too much. I'll take the cookie. Gloria the glowing bee. Right, I think this place is just being cute. There doesn't seem to be anything kind of too unique here, except a healthy amount of music discs and a couple of brewing stands. This ship, which I think we got to be careful not to break the blocks that'll aggro them. So wood's fine to break, nothing else though. Navigator Robert Green. And who are you? Navigator Frank Connolly. Is that guy angry? I think that's an aggro guy. I don't know why they're so aggro. A mystery structure. Alright, we're not going to do this today. We got other things on our minds, right? There's this funny thing, which looks like a dance floor. Rachel the happy bee. No, aggro's bees back here. Peter the spider killing bee. Music disc. And finally, of a giant plushy bee, which I want to enter, but if it wasn't obvious, I'm still really scared of this place. So we'll quickly grab the protection of the hive. Hey, bee. Tina the tiny bee. Hey, Tina. What's this? A bee cannon. A cannon of questionable sturdiness that fires bees. It can store up to 3 bees. The bees will briefly attack any non-bee entity you are looking at. Right. I don't know how I stock it with bees. Right, so we'll head off, find a meteorite somewhere to get started on AE2 in a minute. But I'm kind of sick of the blue, if I'm being honest. It's just not my color, which if you hadn't noticed, it's more of a, it's kind of like a green look. So I'm thinking, so I was hoping to have a quick wardrobe change and upgrade this stuff into Terrasteel, which will also open up a few other things down the track, but we'll get to them later. So the next tier in Botany armor is called Terrasteel. I think it's somewhat equivalent to diamond, just like the mana steel is somewhat equivalent to iron. Now we couldn't get this stuff earlier because it requires this thing called a terrestrial agglomeration plate. All kind of easy enough to make. Like all these runes aren't so bad. We can make basically all of them except for the rune of fire, which needs this little guy, the nether wart. Yeah, it'd be super easy for us to just build a portal and go grab a nether wart from the nether. But I prefer a more scenic route through this mana infusion thing in Botany. Which also raises the question, how do we get blaze rods? You can trade for it, but I don't know, don't really feel much like trading. So it's a drop from a regular blaze. That's a regular blaze, not one of these felled pumpkin ones. These guys only drop the powder variant, unfortunately. But you can take that powdered variant, chuck it in a compressor, and that'll get to the blaze rod. So let's quickly chuck together a compressor. And the only way you can get things like iron plates or any kind of plate early game is with the forge hammer. Thankfully, we got heaps of iron to play with there. So that's a forge hammer. And without the hammer, it's you get 1 iron plate for every 2 of these ingots, which is a pretty crummy recipe. But we'll get better yield now. Now it should be 1 to 1. Yep. Thankfully, rubber isn't too hard to get. Insulated copper cables requires rubber. Rubber you get, it looks like, from sap, and sap super easy to get. Thankfully, we planted a rubber sapling a little while ago. So I get that smoked up as well. Also, to craft up this thing, we also need an iron gear. Which isn't too hard. We'll get a spare one as well. And that should be our compressor. We'll put this somewhere to get some power. Okay, that gets power from the side of that. Now, 5 of them give us a blaze rod. It's pretty slow and noisy. Let's just get 3 blaze rods. There's our blaze. It's actually pretty convenient because those 2 brewing stands that we just found down in the Bumblezone are enough to get us our alchemy catalyst, which I believe we just put under here. Chuck in a blaze rod to get you another wart. That's it. Surprisingly easy. Now I'll just craft up this stuff and we can get our Terrasteel. There is our terrestrial agglomeration plate, which looks like this. Terrasteel is a complex and useful magical alloy infused with ridiculous amounts of mana. Synthesizing it proves to be no small task. For starters, its creation requires a terrestrial agglomeration plate, tick, placed over a checkered band of lapis lazuli and living rock or shimmer rock. Alright, we can do that. So, like this, and then there. Right, so we could probably just point those guys over here, but it's suggesting that we instead build a spark. Oh, blaze, blaze. Sparks are interesting things. Placing a spark over a mana pool and another over a nearby block that can accept it will allow the latter to access the former's reserves on demand. Right, so I actually need 2 of them then. So what do? We go you and you. And that's about all we can make. It seems like we're on a bit of a fool's errand here because we only had one ender pearl left. I headed out at nighttime looking for some more endermen, but none wanted to spawn in for us. So we have one terrasteel. You can't do much with one. You could probably build a shovel. So we'll stick with the blue for the time being. And hopefully by the end of the episode, we would have collected enough ender pearls to get a full kit. I do have these ender orchid seeds, but they only work when planted on end stone. And as you can see, end stone, you can't. There's no kind of magic way to get that. You just have to dig it up from the end. Oh, which is a pain. So we'll have to come back to that. Right, on to applied energistics. First step is the charger. Build a charger, power, blah, blah, blah. And that could not be cheaper. Charger from applied energistics. Go in there. If you put a regular compass inside the charger, it nets you this meteorite compass, which points you towards the nearest meteorite. So we'll just follow the needle. This is it? Okay, it's pointing here. Not a very safe looking spot. There's two types of meteorites. There are, in fact, this gun here is probably the easiest way to clean up all this stuff. Now, there are two types of meteorites. The one we're after is, well, it's this one. If it's got skystone, you know you're in the right place. There's another type of meteorite that's part of Ad Astra, which tends to look like messier on the map, a bit like this, whereas applied energistics is nice and clean. That's better. Right, so I probably couldn't have picked a worse meteorite to demonstrate this with. But once you clear out skystone, which you'll probably want to keep, and we got a healthy amount of obsidian too, so nothing to sneer at, you're left with these blocks here. A mysterious cube and a bunch of these, what are they called, budding Certus quartz blocks. Now you'll see they're not all the same. Like this one's chipped, this one's damaged, flawed, just Certus quartz. A flawless. Now what's this? I've never played with this before. Do we open it? Yes, we smash it. In the morning. We'll give it a smash in the morning. Fingers crossed. So that's given us calculator, engineering, logic, and silicon. All four of them. It's interesting. Now we're going to do a little experiment in here. Flawless. This guy here, you don't want to touch that one just yet. Let's look around. So they all grow clusters of them. And this one's the only fully grown one. And that's going to drop Certus quartz crystals and anything else? No. And this is how we get it now. You know, you can do things like you can trade. There's a villager you can trade with using the charger as it's, there they are. You can just buy stuff from them. I don't know, that's kind of boring. Not a huge fan of using villagers in this game. But yeah, we know what's the deal with all these different types here? Well, over time they degrade. Starting at flawed, it'll degrade eventually into chipped, and then that'll degrade into damaged, and then damaged will degrade into a Certus quartz block. These guys, which is just, you know, four of them put together gives you the block. When you silk touch them, which we can now with this one, they also go down a grade. So flawed should become chipped. Yep, there's chipped, and chipped becomes damaged, and damaged becomes just the regular old Certus quartz block. Right, so that's silk touch. When you silk touch move them, they go down a level, and that includes this guy here, the flawless. Let's just get them all out of the way for now. I've got to be careful not to accidentally touch this guy. The flawless, when you silk touch it, also drops a level and becomes flawed, and then it joins that kind of process where it keeps degrading until it eventually becomes a Certus quartz block. Obviously, we don't really want that. So let's move this thing. I would rather obviously bring things out here and, you know, start farming things at my base. We can do this really easily with a few pieces of andesite alloy, some wood, and a piece of redstone gets you a cart assembler from create. we don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you give it a redstone signal and then you push a minecart through it, it'll collect whatever contraption you've built on top, and you can pick that up and put it in your inventory and move it. And that's how we're going to move this flawless bud-in soda squirt. So from the meteorite into somewhere down here. So this is pretty simple. You put the cart there, give that a redstone signal. Now when we push this, it'll pick up the cart, and we'll do it in the morning. And I forgot to build a wrench. Ugh. Right, so it's got a redstone signal. It's got a cart. You push it through. The cart picks it up. And then you just right-click it, shift right-click. Shift right-click, and there it is. It's inside our inventory. And if you want to get it back, you just turn the redstone signal off, give it a push, and it comes back into place, and you see it's still flawless. So redstone signal, pick that thing up. We'll pick it up, and we'll go get this set up somewhere back at our base. And there it is. Now we've got a flawless bud-in soda quartz thing, block, piece, thingamajiggy inside our base. And these other ones can also be out just because why not? They're going to degrade pretty quickly. And then we'll just collect them as soda quartz blocks. Then you want to get yourself an inscriber. Put this, yes, for now right there. And what this, I mean, this does a whole bunch of things. One of which is crush soda quartz into soda quartz dust. And you can also put these things into charges to get the charged variant. I feel like it always helps to kind of just follow their recommendations, you know? This one is get 16 fluix crystals. So you can find meteorites which have them. We weren't that lucky. Or you can make them with this in-world transformation where one charge becomes 2. So we need 16. All right, then you chuck it in water and it converts. Oh, that's pretty quick. And that's also how you upgrade chipped into flawed, you know, regular soda quartz blocks into damaged, damaged into chipped, etc. Right? As you can see, these things are incredibly slow. So what you want to do is surround these blocks with this stuff called crystal growth accelerators. You should invest your first fluix crystals into building as many of these as you can. So the block's easy enough to make. Fluix ME glass cables and quartz glass, both of which require the dust. And as you can see, we've only got 4. So we're kind of dependent on these guys growing up some. And since that's the case, let's just go loot another meteorite. Ah, this one's so much better. I don't have to contend with all that lava. I think what I'll do is I'll take any that aren't flawless. And we'll leave these two in case we want to expand our farm later. And breaking them without silk touch just gives you soda quartz blocks, so be careful with that. And it really wants us to make an energy acceptor, even though power connects right to AE2 without needing to be converted. But fine, I'll do it for the achievement. There's our crystal growth accelerator. So let's put a pin in this for a second while we look at automating this process a little bit. Because if you hadn't noticed, these things only take one at a time. See, I'm shift click in there, you put a whole bunch in there. It's still just going to do one at a time. And we need to use these inscribers to start making these things like printed calculation circuits, and then that gets converted into a calculation processor, and then that thing, you know, does other things for you. And to stock up on just even just a handful of these things, like the circuits and the processors, rather than do that manually by hand, which would be tedious at best, let's do a quick. Where you at? Sorry, this is the first time I've seen the Wandering Trader. What have you got for me? Yeah, nothing. Nothing I couldn't get myself in about 2 seconds. Oh, in case you hadn't noticed, we're not playing Stone Block. I'm not going to live in this cave. This is just temporary until we get some facilities set up outside. But let me quickly put together a little semi-automated setup for the circuits and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll come right back. Okay, I hope and I pray that this has been done properly. So basically these things have a few rules, like the top part of the inscriber here can only accept items from the top. Well, these presses here don't get consumed in the operation, so you don't ever need to change the items in that slot. This one can be inserted from left, right, back, or front, so we'll insert things from the left here. And at least in this first iteration here, on this first column here, we're just making the ingredients that'll go into this one to make the processes. None of these things, none of them require anything from the bottom. We can make these pretty easily, and of course the silicon one as well. So things only have to go in this way. I think they're smart enough to not take items that they don't want. I think they're smart enough. Like this one down here wants silicon. I don't think it'll take, things like gold or diamonds. I'm curious. We'll find out in a second. If that is the case, we'll have to just set filters on it. And then these three, the printed calculation, printed engineering, and printed logic, they're the top three here, they'll all output and get put into the top slot of this inscriber with a filter here just saying, hey, let anything in. Doesn't matter what it is, let it in. Because the kind of end products here from the inscriber, the logic processor, calculation processor, and engineering processor, they basically have the exact same recipe as each other. It's printed silicon on the bottom, redstone in the middle. So we can provide redstone from this chest here. The only thing we haven't discussed though is where are we going to get the silicon to make the printed silicons? Well, that's easy. That's just blasted up soda quartz dust. Obviously, we should be using a better version of the furnace here. Is that substantially faster? Yeah, pretty fast. Cool. Now we've got our 16 silicon. We only need 12 because there's one silicon for each of these machines, so 3 times as many. You should just put 3 times as much in. Are they all going to go to the wrong spot? All right, we need to set the filters on these. Soda quartz in the top, then it's diamonds, then it's gold, and then it's silicon. Then we just need to provide these guys with some juice. They should get to work. We'll see them blink. And yeah, it doesn't really matter which one gets to output its product here first because, they'll all get there in the end. What we've got to do is put a bunch of redstone in there, whatever ingredients we want into this barrel, and we'll get the output in this one. Easy. I wish there was more time in the day, but we're running out of it real quick here. So I did in the end up just sneaking into the nether, which I'm probably showing you on the screen right now. And I got enough ender pearls to allow us to do some of this. Now, sadly, you can only do this one at a time. If you chuck more than one of each on there, no sparks, no magic, nothing happens. I'm sure there's a way to automate it, but not a big deal. So if we just get ourselves 12 of these, which shouldn't be too hard, we should be able to get ourselves a full set of armor. I already crafted up all the necessary runes that we need. Rune of summer, autumn, winter, and spring. They weren't too hard. So each piece of Terrasteel takes half a mana pool's worth of juice, of mana. So they're not cheap, so I just increased the size of our setup. And yeah, just to speed this process up, I added another mana spreader, chucked on a few more endo flames, and put in these mana splitters. So the mana spreader here outputs to a mana splitter, which as you can see just kind of goes out in the cardinal directions. So it's not an ideal setup. It's definitely slow. It took a real long time for the mana pools here to fill up. And we're basically tapped out now. So we'll let that recharge a little bit longer and we can make some more Terrasteel ingots. But if we get naked for a minute, we should have everything necessary for this upgrade, right? Do we keep the enchants? Unbreaking, protection 4. Oh, that's great. Chestplate, leggings, and winter boots. My God. Ah! Oh, that's odd. Where's my damn celebration? There's no noise. Surely there should be some kind of like bells and whistles or something. I look freaking ridiculous. I'm going to camouflage really well into this jungle. See, I bet you couldn't even see me. We've got 4 more pieces to play with. And it would be pretty amazing, I think, to get a Terra Shatterer. But I also want to waste one on the Greater Band of Mana. Yeah, so this setup, check it out. 20% less mana cost on mana tools and rods. Okay? Regen even if hunger isn't topped off. Let's test it out. Take some fall damage. Okay. Take a bit more fall damage. Okay, take an even greater amount of fall damage. Okay, take a super big amount of fall damage. There we go. And the hunger's not full, so we're missing at least a bar, but regen's just kicked in. I can see that coming pretty handy. Look, we can get all that other stuff later. I think it'd be a huge waste not to get the Terrasteel when it presents itself to us. Ready for the pickings? Terrasteel? That's an achievement. It's rank D. Let's give this a read. The Terrasteel is a tool that, thanks to the sheer quantity of Terrasteel in its recipe, it can absorb absolutely ludicrous amounts of mana. The amount of mana stored in the tool establishes its rank. Ranks progress as follows: D, C, B, A, S, and SS, with D being the low. Okay. The amount of mana required to advance from rank to rank increases exponentially as the rank does. Okay, just takes a few seconds to go from D to C, but then it takes much more. The rank of the tool does not change its speed, rather it increases the range of its active ability. A sneak right click in the air will toggle the Shatterer's ability on or off. Alright, let's toss it in. Get a bit of mana stuck in there. Now it's already a C. So, breaks things pretty fast. Shift right click. Makes a funny noise. Oh, now it does a 1x3. Alright, that's cool. Yeah, it's got nothing on Ultimine, which can just do crazy things like that. Alright, so I looked into it, and there's this mana mirror. Seems to be like you link it up with a mana pool, and then it will, like, you have it in your inventory, and it'll just kind of charge at a distance. Like, it's like basically remote recharging of your mana. That's cool and all, but I feel like for now, I'm happy with a greater band of mana. This thing also passively generates mana on mana tablets. Presumably that also means on this guy? We'll see. And while we're getting more toys, this pocket wormhole lets us access any of our waypoints without actually having to be at a waypoint itself. So I think that's going to be super handy. Yeah, I kind of wish this episode hadn't been so craft heavy, but it is what it is, or it is what it was, and I don't really like the idea of skipping over too much of the detail, but I'll try to keep those sections a bit shorter in the future so that we can have more time to explore and build stuff. How my helmet just came back on then. More time to explore and build stuff. Not entirely sure where, but I'd say we're about all set up. We should have all the ingredients necessary now to build ourselves a little starter home somewhere around here and set up our AE2 storage. Unfortunately, we didn't get to that today. And we'll also automate that butt-in Soda's Quartz block that's tucked away in there. Anyway, but for now, I just can't spend any more time in that little hole in the wall there. Let's get out of here and go on a little trip. Perhaps a polite thing to do would be to pop in and say g'day to the neighbours. We've got this guy over here who seems to be lost for words. So thrilled to see a new neighbour of theirs. Let's just help them find their feet. Okay. Alright, that's good to know. These guys live just around the corner from our new base. I'm sure that's fine. That's not going to be a problem at all. We've got one of those airships over here. I did spot that we have a few hostiles just here in the back end of the mountain. We got one of those windmills full of zombie villagers and pillagers. And we've even got, if it'll come into view, somewhere over here, there it is, an end city not in the end. We've got our good armor on. I think we'll be okay. Let's try this thing out. Never seen this before. Doesn't sound like hostilities. Are you serious? You got friendlies down here? Oh my god. That's so cool. Well, I don't mind helping them lighten their load a little bit. I'm actually a little bit disappointed. I thought this would be quite a challenging area. Do you hurt? You don't hurt. Do you hurt? Only hearts. Trying not to take what I don't need. I haven't got anything too exciting here anyway. What do we got here? Fireworks? Ooh. Okay, I can dig some fireworks. Hey, buddy. Just passing through. Don't want any trouble. Okay, maybe a little bit of trouble. Got a parkour champion on our hands. Perhaps these pillagers will be a bit more fun. Okay. A goat horn. Ooh. So far, not much of a threat. We'll take the steadfast spikes. Can we wear them? Immunity to knockback. Cool. I don't think these guys have quite cottoned on at the moment that they're being robbed. Oh, this guy knows. I don't seem to have too much that I want, but I guess it's a principle of a thing. I can't have these jerks living right behind us, terrorizing the nearby villages. No wonder they build up into the sky. You guys have taken control of the ground. Not gonna lie, I expected a bit more of a challenge. You are a great shot. What a shot this guy is. Alright, that's that structure taken care of. Maybe we should go introduce ourselves to the friendly neighbors. Oh boy, hex casting. I'll have to get into that at some point soon, I guess. Oh, cute little veggie garden you guys have set up here. Kudos. Very cool. You guys got a whole civilization going on back here. You guys literally have nothing interesting, do you? Oh, emeralds I'll take. There was once a time when looting in Minecraft was profitable. I guess that's no longer the case. Literally nothing I want. I'll take that. Uh-oh. I'm pretty sure that this place is full of some real bad dudes. We're gonna have to be real careful and try not to die, I guess. Aha. Box that up. Run. What are you? You're a piglin brute. Run, cow! No! I'm gonna try and do this without killing the poor cows. You good? Seem very happy to have survived that. Alright, I think that's it. We've liberated this village. I was about to film the sign-off, but of course, we need to head home quickly and open up those loot bags. This might be our very first epic loot bag, I'm not sure. Utilities? Nothing too special. Entangled tank, that's pretty cool, I guess. Just a couple things to help us out there with AE2. Some rare bags. Yeah, cool stuff. Alright, nothing much to that bag. Epic bag. Oh, endo flames. Oh, I just crafted like another 8 already today. Alright, that's the episode. Hope you had fun. I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.